One thing that you absolutely need to be doing when it comes to investing in real estate is learning. If you're at the beginning phase, if you haven't invested in real estate yet, even if you have, even me, I get educated all the time. When we're talking about like finding time, people say, I have no time. I have no time to do this. I can't start now. Well, when you're driving in the car, are you listening to the radio or to music or to a talk show or to some podcast that doesn't help you? If the answer is yes, then you've just found some time to get educated. Hey everybody, welcome to Agent Investor, the only brand that helps real estate agents get off the real estate roller coaster. By investing in real estate, earning passive income, partnering with us on fix and flip deals, and growing a great business that you can be proud of, that you're starting the year off with income coming in every single month. And today I've got a topic that I've been meaning to talk about for a while. When it comes to agents or really anybody that tells me that they can't invest in real estate, there's only really two reasons why I ever get why somebody hasn't yet invested in real estate or isn't investing in real estate. The number one reason is a lack of money. The number two reason, which we're going to talk about today, is a lack of time. I do want to quickly address the lack of money because it comes up so frequently. You guys know, if you've listened to my podcast for long enough, if you've, followed me on Facebook for long enough, you know that you don't need any money to invest in real estate. Why? Well, as you know, we will actually partner with you, whether it's a fix and flip deal, whether it's a buy and hold deal, anywhere across the United States. If you have a deal, bring it to us. If it's a good deal, we'll partner with you on it. We've partnered on our larger projects. We've done apartment deals that we've partnered with people. We've done over 60 fix and flips in the last 12 months where we've partnered with agents. So you never, ever need money to invest in real estate. Again, whether that be a flip, whether that be a buy and hold type of property, we've got the capital. We'll do the project with you. We'll put up the money. We'll do the construction and we'll split the profits 50-50. I don't want to belabor this point, but I just want to make sure it's very clear. If you do want to learn more about partnering with us and why you never, ever need any money to do a real estate investing deal, make sure that you jump on my next call at www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. Again, that's www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. All right, so now that you know that you don't need money, and a lot of people understand that. They understand that we're willing to partner with them. They understand that, you don't necessarily need capital to do a real estate investing deal. The next thing I hear a lot of is that I don't have time. Okay. And I want to address some simple strategies to get you all some time back. And I want to talk about some of the things that I've done, some of the things that I recommend doing. But I also want to just say, a few things about not having enough time. First and foremost, you have to look and say, how important is it to me to invest in real estate? The change that will happen to my life if I own assets, if I partner with Tom and his team on fixing and flipping, if I have $5 or $10 or $15 or $20,000 a month of passive income coming in each and every month, the change in your life is dramatic. That I talked about in the onset about getting off that real estate roller coaster. Super important for you. It's super important for your family. If you sell real estate full time, I can guarantee there has been a time in the last few years where you've been nervous about not having enough deals come in. That changes when you have 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 or $25,000 a month of passive income coming in. I can guarantee in the past few years, you've worked with a client that you knew you shouldn't have, but you needed the money, right? That changes when you invest and when you have passive income coming in. Your whole life, changes. And I talk about this, on my weekly call, the great things that I have in my life, the fact that my wife hasn't had to work since we've had kids, just simple things, right? Your life changes when you invest in real estate. I think we all know that. So knowing that, saying and making, what I would call an excuse that you don't have enough time or you don't have enough money, you're not willing to kind of figure it out, you have to look and you have to say, investing is going to change my life in a massive way, which I can tell you it changed my life in a massive way. And if you know that, you've got to try to push through whatever the obstacles are, no matter how big they might seem. But specifically today, I'm not going to be here to tell you, hey, you work 40, 50, 60 hours a week. You need to find the time. You need to add additional time to your workload. That's not what I'm here to do today. I'm actually here to help you in an actually better way, in a way to say, you don't probably necessarily need to actually work more hours to invest in real estate. And I'm going to talk about exactly how to do that. But I want to make one more point before I get into strategies on how you can save time, how you can find time so that you don't have to work more hours. The next thing that I want to say really quickly is just that you don't need a whole lot of time. If you're unaware of how much time you're needing a week to start investing in real estate, you may not have any idea. You might think that you need 20 hours a week or 10 hours a week or 40 hours a week, or you might think you need 5 hours a week. You may not have an understanding. And when it comes to investing in real estate or really anything in general, it's always more important to be consistent than to have kind of like big spurts of energy or big spurts of output. So if that means that all you can kind of carve out is an hour a day, which I would argue that anybody could, start with the hour a day, right? Start with the hour a day. That's fine. You can ramp up. It is so much more important to build the habit of putting in a little bit of time every day and starting now than trying to wait until you have 15 or 20 or 30 hours in a week. And the other thing about investing in real estate is once you get started, and once you're doing fix and flip partner deals with us, and once you're doing passive income deals and you're earning passive income, you actually will get more of your time back. So if you think about it like this, let's say that you do a fix and flip, partner deal with us. And most of you know that the average fix and flip partner deal that we split with agents, the average profit is 80 grand, meaning that we're going to cut you a check on average for about $40,000. Well, for $40,000, you can do a lot of different things, right? For $40,000, you might be able to hire a part-time admin. You might be able to hire a VA. For $40,000, you might be able to say, hey, in the next 12 months, I'm not going to take any clients that I know are going to be a huge time suck, right? So actually getting money allows you to actually leverage your time. And I know I'm going in a lot of different directions with this right now, but just in general, the first thing I would say about investing in real estate and finding time in the strategies is start small and be consistent. If it's even only a half an hour a day that you're spending investing in real estate, spend the half an hour a day, do it every single day, 5, 6, 7 days a week, and you can always build from there. Okay. So you don't need a bunch of time. We're going to talk about how to find that time, how to get that time without spending any more hours, but you don't need as much time as you probably think. All right. So let's talk about some time strategies here, how to get time and how to find time. Well, for me, it always starts with analyzing how you're spending your time. And a lot of people have never done the exercise I'm about to talk about, but I can guarantee you this. If you write down, which is what I'm going to recommend that you do, if you take a log of every hour and how you spend that hour for the next couple of weeks, you're going to be blown away at how many inefficiencies, how much time that you've wasted in a week, how much time you spent unproductively. And when I say that, I don't say that as a negative thing. I actually say that as a really positive thing, because most people kind of don't think about the way that they work. We're kind of trained to just kind of go, 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 go. We live in a hustle and bustle world in 2024. We're always on the go. We're always doing something, but whether we're doing something super productive is a different story. So the first strategy and the first thing that I want you to do is I want you, and it doesn't have to be for 2 weeks. It could even be for 2 days. It could be for a week. Write down how you're spending your time on a day-to-day basis. Whether you carry a notebook with you, whether you log it in your phone, Make some sort of reminder in your phone to do it every single day for the next week or 2 weeks, and then just take a look. And without doing anything more than that, I can promise you when you look down and you start thinking at every hour that you spent, and you start looking at every task that you do and everything that you've spent your time on, you always want to be looking and saying, did I spend my time effectively and efficiently? And did I do things that were kind of a complete waste of time? And there are a lot of things, especially being self-employed, that might feel like work. You might be able to say they're work on paper, but they kind of really weren't, right? And you want to always be looking. This is not something that you want to do one time in your entire, business career. This is something that you want to continuously do. You want to continuously analyze how you spend your time. Because guess what? The only difference between you, me, and a billionaire is how we spend our time. A billionaire is spending their time more effectively, more efficiently, right? They've become masters of how they spend their time. So with that being said, that would be, the first thing that I would recommend doing. And when you look at how you're spending your time and you think, what can I cut out? Like, what things am I doing that are taking up a good amount of my time, but I'm not getting results in? You probably won't need to do much more than that to find 5 to 10 hours in a week, right? I could probably just end this episode right now. And if you just did that one task, you would probably be able to find 5 to 10 hours a week to be able to get yourself an hour a day to spend on real estate investing. And that alone, if I just said, hey, see you guys next week, would probably be enough. But I do want to talk about different tasks and strategies that I think apply to a lot of real estate professionals. Not all of these things are going to apply to each person, right? All of us are in different positions in our business. All of us are in different positions in our life. All of us have different amounts of income and assets and everything like that. So not everything is going to apply. So I'm just going to talk, about some different things that I would think about when you're actually, writing down how you would spend your time. So I talked about the fact that we only need to spend an hour, 30 minutes, 2 hours a day investing in real estate. And when I say investing in real estate, it begs the question, well, what would you be doing? One thing that you absolutely need to be doing when it comes to investing in real estate is learning. If you're at the beginning phase, if you haven't invested in real estate yet, even if you have, even me, I get educated all the time. So one of the biggest hacks that I can give to you guys, and it's going to be such a simple thing that every single person listening can do, is to stop listening to the radio or music in your car and start listening to podcasts and training videos. Now, is that going to be the most exciting thing? No. I'm sure the show that you listen to on the radio, the music that you listen to on the radio are going to be much more interesting. They're going to be much more exciting. But I can promise you that you might spend 1 to 10 hours a week in your car. However long you spend in your car, some of you might spend more time in your car. That is time that you can be getting educated, right? So obviously I have a podcast called the Agent Investor Podcast. If you like my message and you like what I have to say, one thing I would recommend doing, if you haven't done so already, is just go back through the archives and listen to as many episodes as you can, right? Digest every message that I put out there. And that'll help you a ton. Obviously, I'm not the only person that has a podcast. Obviously, I'm not the only person that does training videos and things like that. So you want to find some mentors, some people who run businesses that you want to be like, not that you want to be like the person, but you want to mirror some of the stuff that they're doing. Find, a person or a couple of people. And, and it's not just, podcasts or training videos, it's also audiobooks. I have an audible.com subscription for a reason, because I listen to books on the go. And again, when we're talking about finding time, people say, I have no time. I have no time to do this. I can't start now. Well, when you're driving in the car, are you listening to the radio or to music or to a talk show or to some podcast that doesn't help you? If the answer is yes, then you've just found some time to get educated, right? And it doesn't just go for being in the car. It's also while you're out walking. It's also while you're doing laundry in your house. It's also while, maybe you're eating breakfast, right? Yeah, again, I know it's more fun to watch the local news than to listen to a podcast, especially, I'm not the most exhilarating person to listen to, but, you know, point blank, you listen to my podcast and you listen to the news, you're going to make a lot more money. You're going to invest more in real estate than if you listen to the news or whatever, you might listen to. All right. So that's number one that I want to talk about. The second strategy that I want to talk about when it comes to finding time is the concept called Eat That Frog. And it's a book called Eat That Frog. I mention it a lot because it's an important concept, when it comes to getting stuff done. And you can read the book, like I mentioned, you can listen to the audio book. It's a great book. You won't regret listening to that book. But the premise is that if you need to eat a frog every day, every single day, you want to eat it first thing in the morning. Meaning that if you have to do something hard, no matter however you define your hard, for different people, what they define as hard is different. For some people, that might mean, prospecting. For some people, that might mean going to the gym. For some people, it might mean getting educated. Whatever you find hard, do first thing in the morning. Because once you do that hard thing first thing in the morning, the day gets easier. You gain momentum. And the hard stuff in general is what we tend to put off. As a human, right? We survived however, many millions of years that we've been alive for as a species. We've survived by avoiding pain, right? Our brains tell us that pain is bad. So pain for you might mean making phone calls. It might mean following up with clients. It might mean, mailing a letter to try to get an investment deal. But the concept of Eat That Frog says, if something is important and we need to do it pretty much every day, we need to eat a frog, we need to do something that we don't want to do it first thing in the morning. And if you read the book, and there have been so many different studies done on these types of concepts, and they make a lot of sense, that when somebody says they have no time, I have no time to door knock today. What the studies have shown is that if you do that thing first thing in the morning, you somehow figure out how to get everything else accomplished. Like you look at your day and you say, hey, maybe I have 6, 8, 9, 10 hours in the day. And you say, I can't squeeze in doing my door knocking today. But what studies have shown is that if you do that first thing in the morning, all of your emails and all of your phone calls and all of your text messages and all of your contracts, they still get written. Right. And that's just that is just, I think, the theory behind it is that our brain figures out how to get the rest of the stuff done. It just does. And you kind of have to trust in that, that will work out. But I've found that to be true as well. I try to do my hardest things first thing in the morning as well. I don't always do a perfect job at it. Right. So as I'm saying this, as I'm saying how to save time, how to spend time the right way, there's nobody on earth that doesn't ever not waste time, right? That doesn't, try to avoid pain and go to pleasure. It's just what we do. But being cognizant of these things and focusing on these things will help us. Okay. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about, just strategies for how to get your time back. If you are not using a transaction coordinator on your real estate deals, you are definitely losing time for no reason. So I know that there are two reasons why people say they don't use transaction coordinators. The first is that they don't have the money for a transaction coordinator. And the second is they will say that they do a better job than a transaction coordinator. And I want to address both of those things because if you are, listing or working with, buyers and you do more than 5 or 10 transactions in a year, you're going to be able to get back an hour a day just by using a transaction coordinator. So a lot of agents will tell me I don't have the money for a transaction coordinator, whether that costs $400, $500, $600 a transaction. I'm sure there are transaction coordinators that will do it for less. One simple strategy in order to make sure that it gets done and that you can pay for it is to write it into your contract. So when we take a listing, that's put into our contract that there's a $500 fee, $495 fee for a transaction coordinator. Okay. So you no longer have the excuse of, geez, I don't have the money for a transaction coordinator. I would say 90% of all sellers and buyers end up paying it. And yes, sometimes it becomes a negotiation point, but 9 times out of 10, they do pay it. The second thing that people will say when it comes to a transaction coordinator is that you as the agent will do a better job than them. And while that may be true, I don't even want to dispute that point. I think some transaction coordinators do a better job than a lot of agents, and some might do it a little bit less. But at the end of the day, as you grow a business, you have to leverage your time, whether that's through outsource people or technology or employees or VAs. It really doesn't matter. You've got to leverage your time. And there's a saying when it comes to leveraging your time, you need to find people who will do stuff 80% as good as you will do it. It's really hard to find somebody who's going to care as much as the owner, but you've got to find somebody who's going to do a pretty darn good job. And yeah, you might have to step in here and there with the transaction coordinator, but the gain that you're getting is your time back. The gain that you're getting is the time to invest in real estate. Going back to the beginning of this conversation, you have to look and you have to say, what is my most important priority? Is my most important priority to make sure that the transaction, that there are zero errors ever in a transaction, or is my most important priority that I'm going to invest in real estate in the next 12 months? And if you answer that question, that the most important thing is for you to make zero errors in your transactions ever, then yeah, you might not have the time to invest in real estate, and that's an okay decision. It's always an okay decision to knowingly acknowledge that you're going to give up on investing in real estate. That is fine. Many people have not invested in real estate. They miss out on all the benefits. I think it's a real shame. But if you decide, hey, look, this isn't for me, that's okay. But if you are saying, I want to invest in real estate, I've got a burning desire to do it, and I don't know how, you've got to be willing to make some of these sacrifices. Not that hiring a TC is a big sacrifice, but I will hear the argument. And I've had so many of these conversations to know what a lot of people would say. All right. So going back to kind of the leverage thing, right? There are other leverage points in real estate sales that you can have, whether it be, and I'm just going to kind of lump all these together, whether it be to have a showing assistant, whether it be to add a team member to do your open houses, whether it be to hire a virtual assistant, whether it be to build a team and hand off all of your buyers, or to build a team and hand off all your open houses, or to build a team and hand off all of your far away transactions. You know, I said a bunch of different strategies kind of all at the same time, but they all kind of fall under the same umbrella. And that umbrella is, what are the things that you're doing in your business that don't give you a high result? So I'm sure you've all heard of the 80-20 principle. They call it Pareto's principle, that 20% of all of your activities produce 80% of the results. And your goal as an entrepreneur is to spend your time in the 20% zone that gives you 80% of the results. So I can tell you this, like checking emails, responding to emails, doing transactional work is not the 20% of your activities that give you 80% of the results. It's the 80% of your activities that gives you minor results, right? So those are the types of things that you want to eliminate. Yeah, working an open house, you could find the buyer. Okay, but how long does working an open house take you? Might take you 3 hours in a day. Might take you a half a day. What could you be better using your time doing? So it's all of that stuff. And some people love working open houses and they get transactions from it. So I don't want to use that as a hard and fast example, but going down and saying, what am I spending my time on? Is it the highest and best use of my time? Can I leverage this in some way, shape, or form? Again, whether it's using a VA, a showing assistant, whether it's building a team, etc. How do you leverage out some of your own time? Okay. So, um, the next thing I want to talk about is systemization. Okay. So, for those of you unaware of kind of like what systems are, there can be a lot of different, definitions for what systems are. But I would kind of like say this in the most simplistic way. In my own definition of a system, my own definition of a system is a process that you have that you follow every single time that's going to give you the most efficient and effective results. Meaning, let's say that you are going to run an open house and there are 15 steps to you running an efficient and effective open house. You want to have those all written out. You want to have your process for hosting an open house, or your process for listing a house, or your process for working a buyer written out, so that number one, you never miss steps. You always get the most effective result. You get a great result. But number two, that you're efficient. So how many times, and obviously you can admit this to yourself out loud right now. You can admit it internally, but I'll admit it out loud. How many times have you not had a process for something and you either missed a step that was important, or you wasted time last minute because you realized, geez, I was not prepared for this. So, a simple example of this, and I'm just going to, there are a million different examples. I'm just trying to get you guys to kind of think about how this stuff will work. All right. So let's say you have, two options. You're printing out for an open house that you're hosting. Let's say that you're going to print out a bunch of listing sheets, and you have two options. Option one is that you can, send it to Staples and pay a couple bucks, or send it to an office manager and pay a couple bucks, and then you just go and pick it up and then drive it. Or you can sit at your house and do all the packages yourself, which might take you 2 hours. Which one of those is a better use of your time? And the better use of your time is obviously to have a more automated way to do it. So that's an example of something that you could be burning potentially 2 hours on, or even, putting a sign in the ground, right? Do you have a sign person that's going to put the sign in the ground? And there are all of these different things that you can do. And I know that some of the stuff I'm talking about is going to cost money. But going back to a point that I made, if you partner with us on a deal and you make 40 grand, you now have $40,000 to invest in your business to get you back more time. Whether that means you hire a TC, or whether that means that you hire an admin, or whether that means that you hire a sign person, and whatever. There are always ways to leverage out your time. And again, why are we trying to get this time back? We're trying to get this time back so that you have a half an hour, 2 hours a day to spend time investing in real estate. What is that going to produce? Well, again, if you're going to spend all this time, effort, energy, money, whatever, you better get a great result. And what is that going to produce? Well, that's going to produce passive income. And after a 5-year period, you might have $5 or $10 or $15,000 of passive income coming in every single month. That is freaking huge, right? If you have $15,000 a month coming in of passive income, that's $180,000 per year. In a 5-year period, if you spend your time better, you may have $180,000 of passive income coming in on the day that you wake up on January 1st. Imagine, right? As I'm recording this is October 2024. Imagine on January 1st, 2025, you get a check every month for 15 grand, right? For stuff that you didn't really have to even do. That's what we're talking about. This is what's at stake when it comes to you spending your time the right way. So as I'm saying all this stuff, you may be thinking in your head, well, geez, I don't know if I can do this part or that part. Look at your time log. Look to see how you're spending your time. Think about how you can, make stuff better, more efficient, more effective, and systems are a way to do that. Now, the last one I want to talk about, and honestly, I could talk about this topic forever. It's about implementation with your own schedule. But the last thing I want to talk about is spending your time doing things that are not worth your time. that aren't worth doing at all. And I see this very commonly with agents, and I'm not going to really go into a lot of specific examples, but I see a lot of time being burnt on things that get no results, right? So I always say this, right? Like when I look at my life, when I'm working, I want to be working and doing high productive activities. And if I'm not, I want to not be working. I'm going to say that again, like either be working and doing the highest and best activities or not be working. What I see a ton of when I ask people for their log, how did you spend your time? I see a lot of time being spent on activities that feel like work. Like you could tell somebody that this is what I did today, and some people would tell you that you worked. But if I looked at your log, I would actually tell you that you did nothing. And I could go into a laundry list of things. But I want you, when you're writing down how you're spending your time over the next week or two, I want you to look down and when you look at how you're spending your time, you have to be able to justify every hour that you spent. And you want to cross out anything that you're doing that kind of feels like it could be work, but isn't getting you results. Is this activity getting you results? Is this networking group getting you results? Is driving here getting you results? Is researching this getting you results? And again, I could go on and on about, a variety of different things that I see that are very common. But what will apply to you is when you are looking at how you're spending your time, I want you want to completely eliminate these things. You want to completely eliminate like training you shouldn't be going to, office meetings you shouldn't be going to, just stuff that is not going to get you results. So again, I could talk about this topic for a long, long time, but I think I've said enough at this point to set you guys off on the right track. It's all about consistency. It doesn't matter how much, initial time you have, be consistent with that time. I mean, if it's as little as 30 minutes a day, which we all can find 30 minutes a day, you can't make the argument to me that you don't have 30 minutes a day. You can lie to me and tell me you don't have 30 minutes a day. But if you show me your log, I will point out where you've got that 30 minutes a day. So it comes down to knowing what's at stake. There is a lot of life change at stake if you spend the 30 minutes a day. And as I'm saying this, again, I am guilty of spending my time the wrong way every week. There are things I do every week that are not a good use of my time. It is not a perfect science, but you have to acknowledge and understand. I think the first step is to understand then that you have a choice on how to spend your time, acknowledging that like, hey, if I eat that frog and I don't respond immediately to all my emails and my text messages, like my world isn't going to blow up. Like it's admitting that you actually control your time as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, and somebody else doesn't have control of your time, right? Outside of, family obligations and stuff that you need to do. I'm talking about how you spend your time as an entrepreneur when you have the free time. So guys, I hope all this stuff helps. Obviously the message of this show is always that, sales will make you a living. You can make money selling real estate, but you won't get wealthy selling real estate. You are going to have to look far and wide. And I really mean that. Like it is likely that nobody in your office has gotten wealthy through selling real estate. It is likely that if you're in a big office, that there are some people who make a lot of money but aren't wealthy through selling real estate. But with that being said, most people who invest in real estate become wealthy, right? So you don't want to focus on that one salesperson out of 1,000 or out of 200 that got wealthy through selling real estate. You want to focus on the bulk of investors. So you want to put the odds in your favor, right? If you're trying to hit the lottery, right, what would you rather? Would you rather, flip a coin and have a 50-50 shot of becoming wealthy? Or would you rather, try to hit for mega millions where you have to hit, 15 different numbers, right? You want to stack the odds in your favor to make sure that you're improving your life. So guys, like always, I highly suggest, if you haven't already, to learn about our partnership program. We're trying to partner with 100 agents in the next 12 months. You can learn about that for free, strategies on how to find deals, how our partnership program works, how to get seller leads and seller appointments from us, just by going to www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. I do the call once a week. I hope that you guys can jump on. It is a live call. I will answer any questions. I stay on that call until everybody gets what they need. Use it not only as an opportunity to find out about our partner program, but use it as an opportunity just to ask any questions that you want. If you found something about this particular show interesting and you have a question, come on that agent partnership call and ask it. It is live, and I do answer every question that's on there. So thank you guys for tuning in. I hope this helped you today. And I hope that you make the decision to figure out how to spend your time in the most efficient and effective way.